Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning and welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown, our weekly conversation about issues that matter to us here in the greater Joplin area, and especially where those maybe impact some of us as people of faith. My guest this morning is going to be Annette Thurston. Annette is the Executive Director of Ronald McDonald House of the Four States. And this morning we're going to be talking about what Ronald McDonald House is, what it does, and how especially, in so many ways, it helps all of the families who perhaps have to come to our area from somewhere else to seek medical care for their children, and gives them a spot where they can stay and take a little bit of a break from all the pressures that many times occur because of the illness of a child. If you've ever been, if your family has ever had to contend with that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. And again, we're going to be talking about Ronald McDonald House, what they do, and who they are, and some of their brand new projects. So we'll be right back after this Mercy Minute. Don't go away.
Once I quit playing football, I still kept up with the eating, the amount of calories I wasn't exercising, so the weight started adding on. Dr. Lou is very knowledgeable in the work he does. He also has a program set up that has support systems in place for you. You know, you'll go through the seminar at first. He'll give you the different examples of surgeries you can have to see which one works best with you. He will also sit down with you and discuss the options, what he feels, but he'll work with you the entire time. Mercy has their gastric bypass program here. They have all kinds of resources and supports systems in place. They want to see you succeed, and they're here to help you the entire time, even after the surgery.
Well, again, thank you for joining us for another Sunday morning here at Faith in Our Hometown. As I mentioned before the break, my guest is Annette Thurston. Annette is the Executive Director for Ronald McDonald House of the Four States. Yeah. So Annette, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, and then tell us a little bit about Ronald McDonald House.
Well, this will be my 20th year. In fact, I have been Executive Director of the charity since before there was a house.
There you go.
Yes, and so we're looking at 20 years of serving families here in our four-state areas, those families of seriously ill children who are there simply for one reason, and that is that seriously ill child that's being treated at our two local hospitals here.
Right, and you've actually, I mean, I remember in the good old days, the house was nestled right there, kind of between Mercy and and Freeman, or then St. John's and Freeman. I mean, just kind of in that same little area, and now it's still right there next to Freeman. Would thanks be to God, but some exciting things happening at Mercy as well.
Oh, very much so. So back in 1996, when the charity was actually formed, there was actually one specific mission, and that was to create, find, and support programs that improve the lives of children and families. And so as our two hospitals started having more services for families, and particularly pediatric and the neonatal intensive care unit was opened, we recognized the need to have a Ronald McDonald House. Mm-hmm. And so in 1974, the first Ronald McDonald House was opened in Philadelphia. It actually started with the National Football League.
There you go.
It started with, and our house actually has some history that goes back to Mickey Mantle. But for here of us in the four states, on July the 27th of 1998, we opened the doors at 34th and Jackson to the first family that actually was from the Alba area.
There you go.
Yeah, and so that family, like the 3,000 families plus that we've served since then, actually had a premature infant in the neonatal intensive care unit. 98% of the families that we serve actually have premature infants. But we also serve families of teenagers that have been involved in motor vehicle accidents. Right. We recently had a family not too long ago that actually was a teenager who was looking at professional bull riding, came to Carthage and drew the wrong bull.
Whoa.
And so we also have families of teenagers that stay with us for any type of trauma as well. When you come to Ronald McDonald House, normally it's in an emergency situation.
Sure.
And when you're there, you know that all the services that we offer are going to be yours. We have a 14,000 square foot house, and oftentimes
And
people...
it's beautiful.
Thank
you. Guys,
you.
and it's kept up beautifully. You guys,
thank you.
It always feels, again, even though it's an institution, there's definitely a home-like feel to it when you get there.
I thank you for saying that, because the house really is intended to be that family's home while they're with us. You know, they have access to bedrooms, their own bedroom suite with a private bath. We have 2 large family rooms, and those are the focal point. We are about families, about that time of stress, but also the support of one another while they're there. Kitchen and laundry facilities, just as you would in your own home. And then we have 2 conference rooms that they can use, an indoor playland, an outdoor playground. And our house here in Joplin is very unique of the over 300 houses worldwide, in that we were one of the first to actually incorporate a chapel within the walls of our Ronald McDonald House.
Right, and and again, I think that speaks to a lot of the people who support Ronald McDonald House. Yes. And the whole faith community. There's just the larger faith community of the Joplin area. I mean, for many of us, let's face it, this is seen as an act of faith. You know, we're told we're supposed to take care of each other. I mean, that's what we're told we should care for each other, and we should care for the community, and care for those who are traveling and coming through. And so for us, it was kind of an act of faith, to help support it. And I know it was an act of faith for those who were involved in putting in that first chapel, because I've talked to one of them, that was just one of those things that they really wanted to do, because they wanted to make not only a home for everyone, but also a place where they could get some quiet and pray if they needed to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the situations of our families, it is a room that's often used. The families have needs. They have access to transportation to and from the hospitals, as well as transportation to and from doctor's visits or necessary shopping. The dynamics of the family always comes with them, and so we've had homeschoolers, we've had families from 37 states and 2 foreign countries that have actually stayed with us due to the medical services that we have here. But by and large, our families come from a 65 to 70 mile radius. And then...
and that would of course be the reality, because, otherwise they get to a different hospital system, they get to a different place, and especially in emergency,
exactly,
they go wherever's closest. So that makes perfect sense.
And sometimes where they feel most comfortable. Sometimes when they're given options of a larger city, they feel like Joplin may be more maneuverable and more manageable for their situation, or they may have extended family here for support. And that support is extremely important. Yeah. The families that are there, they're there to support one another. But if you have no family here, the staff and the volunteers that run our house really are that support system. And I think, again, we opened the house with 30 volunteers. We now have 138.
Oh, there you go.
And the house program itself actually has only 1 full-time paid house program manager, a part-time assistant, and for 24/7, it is the people of our local area that really keep that house open and operating and provide that support to the families that we serve.
In some ways, that's families ministering to families, which again is a beautiful way of looking at what you guys do.
We had a wonderful person that was awarded a grant, and she wrote a book about every Ronald McDonald House in the country. And she actually titled that book, Through the Doors of Compassion.
Yeah, there you go.
And it is. I had someone say to me at one time that Ronald McDonald House is a strange phenomenon. We open a door to strangers, and we embrace them, and we love them, and we provide them everything they need during a very, very stressful time of their lives.
Yeah, and it is... maybe I wouldn't consider it a strange phenomenon. I consider it more of a compassionate phenomenon. When I think about strange phenomenon, I think more about my biography rather than another book. But yeah. Recently, you've all opened up another kind of a brand new thing for our area, which is kind of like a satellite, if you will, of the Ronald McDonald House. And that's the new family room that you just recently opened at Mercy.
That's the second program that we are now operating under the umbrella of Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Yeah.
And so that to us is truly a program that will expand that support that we give families of our seriously ill children. And that is the program that is called the Ronald McDonald Family Room.
Okay.
And that actually started in Kansas City.
Well, that's kind of nice.
It
Just
is.
bringing it a little bit south.
That program is 25 years old, and it really formed when the satellite house off campus didn't actually serve families within a 50-mile radius, but they recognized the need. And so they worked with Children's Mercy, and they opened in 1975 the first Ronald McDonald Family Room. And then that is the fastest growing concept. And what it is
I mean,
that
of all the 300
all-
Ronald
yes.
McDonald centers
Yes,
around the world.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so what we have is we partnered with Mercy. After the tornado, we spoke to them about the possibility of actually opening a family room within the hospital itself. And so when they said yes, we have this beautiful, and I do mean beautiful,
Yeah.
850 square feet on the 6th floor of our new hospital, that within those walls we will serve the families there at Mercy. Because when they open their neonatal intensive care unit, the family can actually stay right in that room. But that family also has the need to come out.
Break. Get to take a little bit of break from the situation.
Take a
for
break.
them. Exactly.
Definitely take a break. And so that Ronald McDonald Family Room on the 6th floor has within its walls all the services of a Ronald McDonald house, except not a bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It has what we're calling a serenity room. You can come into that serenity room, you can listen to music, you can just sit back and relax, you can take a nap. All the benefits of just some peace and quiet within the walls of the hospital itself. Get out of that room.
And you know, and again, this is the way somebody like me thinks. So this may not be what everybody would use the room for, but I would look at that room as, again, kind of like the same way that you know, you've had your chapel at the other house. Now you're going to have another little spot where people can just do what they need to do and to do those things. And of course, there's a chapel downstairs, but you know, but I would say that. That becomes a very special space, especially if they need a little bit of a break to just kind of sit and breathe. And sometimes I know that it's been my experience in working with families that sometimes it's just an opportunity for them to get away and maybe even shed a few tears. They always want to be strong and tough and do all those things when they're out with everybody else, and sometimes it's just to get out of that situation for a few minutes and just kind of like let it go and, you know, kind of break down, if you will, and get the opportunity to do that in a way. So my guest this morning is Annette Thurston. She is the executive director of the Ronald McDonald House of the Four States right here in Joplin. So we're talking a little bit about the mission of Ronald McDonald House and their new project at Mercy, the Mercy Family Room, which is, again, as she said, one of the fastest growing projects in the Ronald McDonald universe, if you will. So this is Faith in Our Hometown. And we're going to be right back after a real quick break, okay? So stay with us.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
So thanks for sticking with us this morning. Again, my guest, Annette Thurston from Ronald McDonald House, and we were just talking about the Mercy Family Room over at Mercy. And again, I will attest to the fact that it is a beautiful space. I was blessed to be able to help bless it. Okay,
Exactly.
you know, kind of as we got going, and it is so warm and inviting. I mean, you know, if it had a bedroom, I'd live there. You know, but I got a
think you'd
house.
have to be
I got a
alone.
house. No, I got a house. We're good. But it is a very welcoming space and very comfortable, and I'm glad that that we've been able to help kind of respond to some of the needs of that particular I want to say audience, that particular group that would need those services there and are needing the medical services there at Mercy for their children.
And there's always the Ronald House to which they can come also. But you know, families, and particularly moms and dads, they don't want to leave that child.
Right.
They really do not want to leave that child, but they need to get away. They need to get out of that hospital room, take a shower.
Yeah.
And there's a shower there. Wash their clothes. We have a washer and dryer that they can use. They'll have access to watching television. There are games that they can play if they would like to play games. There's also internet access, which is extremely important in today's
Sure.
world. One of the most important services both at Ronald McDonald House and over at the family room will be meals. And so they'll have access to hot meals, snacks if they just want a snack, or just time to get away as husband and wife, as mom and dad, or as grandma and grandpa, and talk about the situation.
Sure. And I do think that that's, I mean, you know, so in other words, you know, you don't just, I mean, I know your staff, you know, does not just, okay, there's the room, just go sit. Because, I mean, you've got folks that are actually, you know, who've been through some of these things. Some of your volunteers have actually been through this situation themselves. And now they've got, you know, folks that will come and just kind of like, you know, kind of assess what they need and help them along the way as they, you know, as it kind of all unfolds.
And oftentimes, you know, with our Ronald McDonald House, the house itself has 10 rooms, and of course the family room is 850 square feet. There is that one-on-one, that I know your name, I call you by name. What's important, we check on our guests every single day. Something else that we do while Ronald McDonald House families are part of our family, we try to help them strengthen their family unit. What we know by statistics is that the people who stay with us and who will access the family room, they have the sickest children, they have traveled the furthest for medical care, and their children will be in the hospital for the longest stays of anybody. Knowing that, we also know that 87% of the couples who actually go through the roller coaster ride of a preemie or a sick child will not stay together. And we work with them as couples as well. We invite counselors to Ronald McDonald House to work with our families. Ministers and priests
Sure.
come and work with our families for the spiritual. We work with them to just plain get away and have some activities. We have a wonderful volunteer that comes and does memory boxes. That families can actually put the memory box together for that child and have something to take away with them. So while they're there, you're right, because the support system of both volunteers at our Ronald McDonald House and at the family room, there are 138 of them, soon to be 160.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's
and
fast expanding
that's fast
concept,
expanding.
138 to 160, yeah.
I always say to Art that our volunteers really speak to the compassion giving attitude of the family in our four-state area. The people here respond. We opened that house with 30 volunteers, never thinking 20 years later that we would still be operating that program with volunteers who do everything from guest services to housekeeping to family support in every way. All of the landscaping, when you speak to, you know, the beauty of the landscape, it's all volunteers as well. So there's a great outpouring to which we always say thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I think this is a great time to talk a little bit about how people might get involved. So I'm going to hold this up if I can and see whether or not we can get a shot of this. I want maybe move your coffee cup, depending. But this is the where you would call if you wanted to help volunteer. So 417-624-CARE, which is 2273. So 417-624-2273. Or if you're a computer person and would like to do that online, you can always go to www.rmh, Ronald McDonald House, rmhjoplin.org. Okay? And, you know, there'll be folks there to, you know, help trying to kind of put you to work or to figure out how you might fit in. So what might be some of the things that folks could do? I mean, I know the Shore State folks could donate money if they want to do that, because any not-for-profit organization is
Sure.
always looking for donations. And so if this might interest you, you could certainly do that. But what would they do if they really perhaps wanted to volunteer? How would they might be able to be of help, Annette?
Well, number one, you're going to apply, just as you would if you were for a position. And then we would have you meet with the house manager or the program coordinator, and they would look at your time that's available, what talent you may want to donate back to Ronald McDonald House, and how we make a fit. You know, maybe you'd like to prepare meals. That's a one-time thing. Or if you give of your time in a 4-hour increment, you might work with guests. You might help make beds. You might help make up the bedroom. You may just have time to sit and chat and be there for the support of the guests. You know, we survey every family that stays with us, and at one point in time we had a survey that came back that asked us if we just couldn't put more volunteers on each shift just to sit and talk.
Yeah, there you go.
And so you're there, it's one of the most important things that we do. But if you have an interest in working outdoors, there's always special projects for outdoors in landscaping. If,
Excuse me.
that you have a situation where you want to work on a committee. You know, speaking of funding, there is no charge to stay at Ronald McDonald House. You know, you can, we ask $10 a night, and for the family room, there's no charge at all. And so that is for everybody, whether you can be a millionaire and stay at Ronald McDonald House or not have the means and still be asked the same.
Which is great.
And which is really great.
You know, kind of like that egalitarian kind of just love. You know, it's just
It
like we'll
is.
love on everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a have not, or somewhere in between.
You just have a
you've
seriously
got a
ill
seriously
child.
ill child.
That's
right?
it.
Which is great.
So if you want to help raise funds, we always have special, you know, fundraisers. We have our golf tournament. We have the Big Red Shoe Run, 15K, 10K, and fun run. Again, another family-oriented event. And then, of course, our 20-foot tree out at North Park Mall every Christmas. That is our largest fundraiser to help support the house, and that's Gift of Light, Gift of Love. So there, and you can donate and sponsor a family for $10 a night. What we're very proud of is that, you know, it is all privately funded, local businesses and local support for the last 20 years. So yes, I mean, every family that comes in the door, it's a safe place to stay.
Which is wonderful. Now, I will tell you that some of the things that I've loved at like our, you know, our blessings and things like that,
Yes.
you know, is hearing the stories of some of the families, you know, who needed some of those services. You had and some of your things you'd given me. I'll just read a couple of the comments of some of the people who've you know, used your services.
Right.
I want to tell you again how wonderful it was to be able to stay there. In a world that at times seems to be filled with hate, violence, suffering, and selfishness, the staff and all the rest of the volunteers, along with the financial contributors, shine so brightly like a beacon in the darkness, or as the Bible says, you are the light of the world. I pray that God will bless you and everyone there as you continue to help and comfort his people. You people truly are being used as God's hands and feet. Thank you. I thought that was a beautiful thing.
It's a very powerful statement to come from one of our guests.
Yeah,
Very
and I mean,
much
just
so.
and it's a credit to you and all the folks who work at Ronald McDonald House
Thank
that
you.
they feel like that is kind of what they've experienced when they've been there. You know, I mean, I know you're not a sectarian organization, but I would say obviously this person was a believer in God and reading the Bible. I'm guessing because they called it the Bible, they're Christian.
Sure.
So in kind of looking at that, I mean, they were seeing you reflecting that belief system lived out in your volunteers. And again, I know you don't preach any particular creed or do any of those things. You just take people with sick kids.
That's it.
And but I mean, for those of us in the faith community, we would look at that and say, hey, there's some good God work being done there too, which I think is wonderful.
We do too.
Yeah, and it's even and I think that all good human being work is ultimately good God work from where I come from.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
I was raised that way. So,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
Good. There's another one here. We are rooming in tonight with our baby girl at the hospital. We have only been here for 6 days, and her recovery has been remarkably fast. If it hadn't been for the staff of the NICU, I know we wouldn't be going home so soon. The Ronald McDonald House has been great. If not for this, we would never have made it. How can you ever repay people who had a part in saving your child's life? Wow.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Saving your child's life. I
Yeah.
mean, when you hear words like that, it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, now you know why you go to work tomorrow morning. Now you know why those things happen. So,
And it's often not work at all.
yeah, well,
It truly isn't.
Yep. When you're loving, taking care of other people, it works pretty well, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Way back in 2002, we had a family that sent us a card, and it's this little card that I keep with me, and it says on the front, There's a place you can stay as long as you like. It's safe, and you never have to pay rent. And you open it up, and it says, "My heart."
There you go.
And it was from the Anderson family. And I think more than any card we've ever received, it speaks to what we do at Ronald McDonald House. You know, not very long ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, we had that, an example of that when one of our families, Barry Dean, came back as a Nashville singer-songwriter. And 17 years ago, he and his wife Jan had Catherine, a micro-preemie, very little girl baby at the time. And now he's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter in the Nashville scene. He came back with 3 other Grammy Award-winning Nashville songwriters and did a fundraiser in an effort to give back.
Wonderful.
You know that we stay in their hearts.
Well, it's good, and I know why Ronald McDonald's House stays in their hearts. So thank you and your staff for all that you do. Again, my guest this morning has been Annette Thurston, who is the executive director of Ronald McDonald House of the 4 states, and we've been talking about what Ronald McDonald House does and the way they reach out family to family to help care for other people. We're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. Don't go away. We'll be back to wrap up.
The SANE program, or Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner program, is a program established to provide a coordinated, specialized care to patients or women or men who've been the victim of sexual assault.
The SANE program is really designed to be a collaborative community response to sexual assault.
It's really important to make sure that it's not just the report or the forensic, but they get all of the testing that might be needed for their health.
It's also important to know that you don't need to know if you want to press charges or not. We don't get law enforcement involved unless you request it.
I just want to express to the victim that it is never your fault. You always have the right to say no, and that it's your body. So if you say yes one time, it doesn't mean every time.
I think it's important that sexual assault victims remember they've been victims of a crime, and crime victims do not pay for those services.
Well, many times in the way life unfolds, we're dealt things that we'd rather have to never deal with. And one of those things in the lives of people is the illness of a child, and with the fear that strikes in the heart of every parent, and the way that takes its great toll while they're struggling to help their child to overcome all the challenges, when they may be even close to death. And so we have groups that will step into that breach and give people a place of hospitality. We have people who will step into that breach and share family-to-family love and give them a place to be. And one of those places is Ronald McDonald House. We're so blessed here in the greater Joplin area to have the Ronald McDonald House of the 4 states. They've got the freestanding Ronald McDonald House right near Freeman, and we got the Mercy Family Room over at Mercy. So we're blessed to have them in both of those places. Let's continue to support them. Join us next week for Faith in Our Hometown, because that is why we do our show, that we can share faith with one another in ways like this. God bless.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.